let's talk about vocabulary, right? Um, a while back, I never thought about vocabulary as important as before. Vocabulary is very important to the extent that you can be able to express yourself, right? Now, it's I remember I used to be able to think that my ability as to remember vocabulary. I can remember vocabulary, but it didn't turn into a long-term memory, right? It didn't turn into my subconscious. It didn't become part of me. So, um, so why speak on the topic of vocabulary? Well, vocabulary is important. It makes you aware of a lot of stuff. Like even if you heard the word like success or vocabulary or any other word that you hear before, you may know, but you may know the word, but when you look at the word meaning, it really doesn't mean that, right? Excuse me. It's because I want to tell you a story. Well, a long time ago, right? When I was a kid, when I was in high school, I didn't used to curse when I was like little until I hear my sister curse, and then what happened is I start cursing, and when I start to curse, I lost my ability to communicate. I know that people have a fix um, of cursing, right? For me, I believe that when I curse, people say if you curse, you're more honest. Well, um, maybe, but when I curse, it's how I experience it. When I curse, I thought it was cool. Nobody does it because it's bad. It's taboo to curse. But until Gary V, Gary V curse, and now I hear Tony Robbins curse. But my point is that I curse my kid life, my adolescent life. So I hit maybe around 22, 23, I changed. Because I listened to Brian Tracy. I stopped cursing. Because the only reason I curse a lot, and also the reason why I start cursing, um, first of all, in my interpretation, my understanding is when I curse, I didn't have the ability to communicate with people. Sure, I curse, but I didn't say. I mean, I'm not. When I curse, it's not like as in like mean or like I don't want to be mean, right? I'm always like try to be nice to people, but when I curse, I was like, the F word or like, yeah, ah, and when I have fun with the curse word, like, yeah, I usually use curse words as a fun, cool way to express myself. Like, let me express, like, F. So no, I couldn't say anymore, but the limitation with curse word is you don't express more of who you are. Like most people say, yeah, but why build like big vocabulary words? It's not because to build vocabulary words, just to build them. Because because I noticed that I start to see a pattern because I learned it from Brian Tracy. I started to see a pattern that most of the successful people that I look up to speak very big vocabulary words. The only reason why they know that vocabulary word is because they actually read the word and then understand its context, right? It's not that hard. It's just that school haven't teach you how to use the vocabulary uh, the correct way. They teach you, they throw it at you like a spaghetti. They throw it at you like a barrage of words. And you sit there and you look at it like, what the heck does this mean? And you're like, okay, so they want me to remember this and this and this for a week. So you remember for a test so you can get A's. But that's really an effective way to learn to build vocabulary. And that's why most people don't like vocabulary because it's not fun to learn. But for me, I guess I stopped learning vocabulary for a while now. I guess I love books. I read books, um, but even then, reading books is, for example, this book right here. What I'm holding is a science book. Some physicist, right? Brian Greene, right? And it has very hard word in here, and I have to try to understand what it means. So, take for example, you read books like this, and you don't understand what the word come like meaning is. So, my take on it is this: the vocabulary isn't meant to hurt you; it make you become more aware of the surrounding of words. When you start to become aware, you start to be able to apply in your life. You may not see it. Um, and Bob Proctor, who I look up to, he talked about built vocabulary, right? Vocabulary is not your enemy. Words aren't your enemy. The enemy is the school system. The enemy is the learning style, the learning strategy, the learning methodology that school uses that's very ineffective to translate that into your subconscious mind, where you become, oh, you speak it as if it was part of you, like learning a new language. Whenever I learn a new language like Japanese, I have to speak it out loud. It may sound like I'm crazy, but I need to become part of me because that's how you learn a language. When I was a kid, I know Vietnamese or my language, but it's by repetition that we learn. It's by repetition that it goes to the subconscious. So your ability to express yourself, to be able to say it's not. So my favorite Brian Tracy said, the more the the more vocabulary that you know, the better that your thinking is. The better that your thinking is, the better quality of your life is. So if you look at the whole context, the words, right? The words change the way you think things. It changed the way you communicate. When you talk, when you see yourself, you see yourself more sophisticated. You are more, not, you know more things, and it opened the doors to more words. It's not complicated. School makes it complicated because they throw a bunch of barrage words at you and expect you to remember, but they didn't expect you to make it stick. So what you do, you take a vocabulary that you want, and what you do is take that vocabulary and speak it into existence. Meaning, meaning, take. I didn't know what sophisticated or paradigm or I probably know other words that I haven't used for a while. Subconscious. You speak it to existence. You look it up and you speak it. Use it in your everyday life. That's how it become part of you. That's how you be able to know that vocabulary. It's not hard. It's just that it's making you because when you look at it, you're using repetition. When you say it, you're using repetition. But you got to recall it. When you use repetition, you remember it's recall. But you have to do it every single day and every single week, every single month become part of you. If you forget it, try to remember it again without using or looking it back. Try to remember what it is. Because you can use the technique to remember things. That's because you're amazing. Your brain is amazing memory work. Even though if we forget, it changed, but whatever. But you can do it. So the more words that you know, the more you build around you, the more confident you become, and the more words. Because to be honest, I mean, the average person wouldn't use complicated words. Uh, Kids learn more words or vocabulary words faster than adults. That's what Brian Tracy said. But building vocabulary is fun. It doesn't have to be just like reading. Reading or learning don't have to be a pain. Learning can be fun if you let it. If you let it sink in, and if you play with it, like from now to the rest of your life, make learning as if it was fun for you. Don't make it like it's a chore. Don't make it as if it's a homework. Don't make it as if it's a school. Make it fun for you. Like switch it around because they have. You can use. I haven't used it for a long time. The way I used to do build vocabulary, they call it mind mapping. You probably see it in some school or something. Mind mapping is where you take a word. For me, because I learned it from Tony Brazan, the brain expert, where you take um, a vocabulary word, you put it here, and for me, I do colors, and then I take that vocabulary word and I color that in, and then or do the what's the meaning in that circle and make it colorful, like make it into art, so my brain works. Because the way that the brain and memory work is through ridiculous association to it, like your brain associate things to it, right? It's how you remember, right? It's how you you think in pictures, but you have to associate a lot of repetition, a lot of ridiculous association, like meaning into it. If you put more emotion, you remember it more better, right? So have fun with it. Play around. I used to play around with a lot of words and mind mapping and vocabulary building, and it's fun for me. Okay, it's I make it fun, right? Because they said that where they say you remember about 10% if you read, 20% if you hear, um, 50, what was it? 10%, 30% if you 30 or 50% you visually see it, but 90% if you do all that combined together, like you physically hands on because it's kinesthetic. You see it, you hear it, you read it, you do it. That's why if you take a knowledge, for example, you take it out, you use it in the physical world, you remember it, you hear it because you experience it, you have emotion, you associate emotion to it. That's all the ridiculous association to it, right? And it becomes a memory, if you will, and then you can pluck out that memory and use it to your advantage. Like, for instance, when I was doing personal development, I was doing learning matching, learning about how to influence people or understanding people, but people weren't aware that I was using on them. And I take the knowledge, I read it, so I remember 10%, right? I read it, but I go out and physically experience it, all the emotion, all the experience, all the facial feature, all the body language. They said 80% is uh, body language, nonverbal, and 10% is verbal. So, and you see all the facial expression, people expression, how the face react, and you mirror their body. And when you talk, and I go out and I experience and I talk to people and I let them talk about themselves, and and I talk about their name in it, and then I talk about what their subject in, and then they light up, and I start to do that more and more, and it become part of me, and I start using it. Sometimes I stop using it because I forgot it. Sometimes because I have other uh, things that I need to do, but it's always I'm always retraining my mind to understand and interact with people in a way that, because people communicating communication isn't just talking, because I was realizing that communication is not just talking, it is to be able to influence your perception of me. I can plant a seed of who I am. I can change your filter of me if I wanted to. The, how I express myself. They said uh, they said you only get a first impression, right? It is the ability to be able to get you to like me, but it's not in a shallow way, because I'm making you. important. I'm interested in you, right? That is communication. Communication is not talking about you. It's not talking just to talk. It's talking to have a purpose. It's talking to understand you, to understand how can I help you, or to understand how can we become friends or build a relationship. Building a relationship takes time, right? But we never thought of that way. Neither did I. I didn't know how to build relationships. You got to create trust. You have to create rapport. You got to create a lot of things that go into play. You got to relate to the person. You got to understand the context and the finding and the environment and everything. But school didn't teach you that. Schools teach you a bunch of nonsense. They didn't teach you a whole lot of things that go into play of building people, of building relationships, of getting to rapport. But that's called for personal development, right? That's good. So thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to build a relationship with me. I'm grateful for all those who listen to my videos. I want to be entertaining first because I don't want to make it boring. I want to rant because it's interesting for me and for you, and I want to build rapport with you, and I want to relate with you. That's why I relate sometimes to you because if I talk from up here and I try to go here like at the expert or something, you wouldn't be able to relate to me. So that's for and foremost. That's how I try to relate with you. I try to understand you, right? And then as I understand you, what you come from, where you come from. That's why when I use social media, for instance, I notice things, I hear things, I see what people write, and I try to solve their problem, try to relate to them. Not always easy, but I hear what they're saying. That's the thing that I got now understanding about understanding people. Okay? And yeah, it's fun when people don't know that you know about people. When you know and understand people, it's fun that way because you know that they don't know what you know. That's fun because they don't know that you're using this against them. I'm not against them, but using it to persuade them. And it's not evil or bad. It's not manipulation. It's how people are wired. It's how if you understand people, they always like to talk about. I mean, I do like to talk about myself, right? But sometimes I try to experience where always let other people talk, and I never I never talk about myself, and I let them become focused on them, and as they focus on them, I got them. Not as an evil way, but you know, but I do care about them sincerely, and they are important. It's just that I experiment. You gotta experiment with these stuff. So subscribe to my channel, like my video, because what I do, to, what I do is I talk more on who you are and what you can become. I think what you can become is much more important than you are today. I'll see you in the next video or later.